On this edition of River Tales, we will meet artist and instructor Robert Friedrich from Cape Central High School, take a trip to the Mingo National Wildlife Refuge, enjoy the unique sport of drone racing, and revisit Lurenberg Theaters for Sensory Saturday. Stay tuned to River Tales. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, or the creator. Robert Friedrich is an art teacher who encourages his students to see things differently and express themselves freely.
The most part I got into art was that I had some inspiration as far as when I was in high school. And the teacher that I had was Herb Wickham, and he just passed away about this past month. He was my high school art teacher, and he really kind of got me to where I could see what it would be like to be an art teacher as far as, you know, the relationship between artist, art teacher, and student in a classroom. And I seem to like that environment that he kind of had for us, you know. But I think that was pretty much set off to the side as far as wanting to be an art teacher. As I went into the military, joined the military, I kind of bummed around for a while and really didn't have any direction at all once I graduated high school. And I think once I had gotten in the military and got a little bit more discipline about, you know, studying, I decided to go to college and, of course, major in the only thing that I was ever really good at in high school, and that would be art. When I was growing up, I did a lot of it on my own. I was self-taught. But as far as inspiring me to become what I've become, I'd say Herb Wickham, and I'd say my mother. You know, my mom inspired me to stay in school and get an education. Well, I've taught here for 18 years. I think this is my 18th year. Sometimes it goes by kind of a blur. But I teach ceramics 1 and 2, and I teach sculpture. And with me and the other two art teachers, Miss Susan Cohen and Beth Thomas, we have a very well-rounded program. We dominate, and we like to dominate. We like to show that we have a proud program. Who is the arts for? I think the arts, that's the sad thing, I think, about the arts, you know. People just drop out. I think sometimes the parents might influence them to drop out, you know. They'll start asking questions like, what is that, you know? Instead of tell me what that is, you know, or explain your picture to me in elementary school, you know. And I think it's sad. I think art's for everybody. I mean, it doesn't matter how talented you are, you know. If you enjoy expressing yourself, express yourself. You don't have to impress anybody. I don't do my artwork to impress anybody. So what do I want my students to get out of my particular class is a sense of what the arts are. I get a sense of paying attention to detail and craftsmanship. But I also want them to get out that, you know, the projects we do is mature enough that they can enjoy it for the rest of their life, you know, that it can be on a shelf and be displayed within their own home. And I'm hoping that the stuff that the kids make in my class is stuff that they hold on to, you know, and that they have some pride in what they do and pride in their work. And I try to make sure that they understand that craftsmanship and the pride, you know, goes beyond just what they do in my classroom. We all have different aesthetics, you know, what we liked and disliked, you know. And I like to see that style and that personality, that influence that they might have gotten here pour over into their, you know, their home life, you know. The way they decorate their home, or the way they might decorate their yard, or how, you know, how they take care of stuff. And I think that's even true for me, you know. I mean, my favorite thing to do in sculpture is to take found objects and then incorporate those into my human figures. And I think I do the same thing with my everyday life, or even with my yard. And these are my water meters I use for walking steps. I just kind of like to recycle everything. I have I like rusty junk, but we always like to recycle, and I always like to find, because a lot of my sculptures have a lot of found objects in them, so I like to even you know, utilize my yard if it's a live sculpture, you know. So everything I plant, I have no rhyme or reason. Sometimes that drives people insane. I don't know, I don't like anything very symmetrical. I don't like that look that people have in their houses now where they got 3 bushes here and 3 bushes here, and you got 4 red bushes there. You got flowers planted in exactly the same location as they are on both sides of the house. And to me, that's just boring. The fire pit is this actually came out of the house next door. So I tore down the old fire pit and rebuilt the new fire pit. And we even did a joker's head. And the joker, if you get flames going really good inside, he'll actually spit some flames out and a lot of smoke out of his mouth and out his ears. So we kind of enjoy that. I bought these hands, which are kind of weird. They're actually molds used in a factory for rubber gloves, for industrial gloves. So I have them looking like they're coming out of the ground and they're kind of bracing the watering can. But anyway, we use sewer pipe. We'll reuse some of the pipes and stuff. Everything, my fence going around my yard, that's all been recycled. It's actually parts of an old gazebo that I found in the scrap yard. Parking meter that came from uptown Jackson. Got that stuck in the flower bed for no reason. That's our chicken coop. And the chicken coop is made out of recycled doors. So we got recyclable doors, everything on it's been recycled. And of course Tate has the chickens out. We have them out quite a bit. And this section back in here is just the garden where we have our tomatoes and our squash and beans and stuff. And the old light that's on the side of the garage, that came off of, supposedly comes off one of the bridge lights off the old Cape Girardeau bridge. And I redone it, rewired it, and hung it up there. And of course our scarecrow, our magnificent scarecrow here. The gas can came off of my grandfather's farm. It was in the junkyard or a scrap pile. And my son wanted me to do something with it, so I did. So again, trying to find things to do with our recyclable stuff. Well, when we built the 2-car garage, we had one section of concrete left to pour, and you know, everybody puts their hands in the concrete, you know, and then they put the date or how old your child was, you know, and stuff like that. I decided I was going to lay out a thin sheet of drop cloth. We laid that on top of the concrete, and we took my son, who was 5 years old at the time, and we laid him down in the cement, and then we kind of stepped on him. And got him to sink down. So now I have this great little spot that reminds me of my child. The only problem is I got a feeling when I get older, in my 80s and stuff, I'll probably end up tripping over it and have to have a hip replacement. So, but we like it, and a lot of people think it's kind of weird that I did my entire son, but that's what it's all about.
Whether it's for business or just a getaway, Cape Air is your wings in the Midwest. Cape Air serves 6 destinations, including Kirksville, Quincy, Fort Leonard Wood, Cape Girardeau, Marion, and Owensboro. Fly from Cape Girardeau to St. Louis with fares starting at just $49 each way. With easy connections through Lambert St. Louis International Airport, Cape Air connects you to the Midwest and the world. Book today at capeair.com or call 800-CAPE-AIR and enjoy the ride.
This is your beginning. The entire world is before you. Every opportunity is yours. Make the most of it.
Located in the upper end of the lower Mississippi River Valley, the Mingo National Wildlife Refuge has 22,000 acres set aside for wintering and migratory waterfowl. More than 100,000 visitors each year visit the refuge to review an array of wildlife.
Mingo is part of the National Wildlife Refuge system. It encompasses over 550 refuges located throughout the entire United States. Mingo is part of the Midwest region. They call it the Great Lakes and Rivers region. And so it's just one of 9 refuges located in the state of Missouri. 25,000 years ago, the Mississippi River actually used to run through what is now Mingo Refuge. So the refuge is actually an abandoned river channel of the Mississippi River. 18,000 years ago, surging glacial meltwaters and probably an earthquake caused the river to shift more towards its current path east of here. But it left behind this pristine, low swampland that you see here today. The first inhabitants of the refuge dates back to roughly 7,000 years ago. There's archaeological evidence that Native Americans used the swamp not necessarily for a place to live, but as a seasonal place to go and hunt. The rich swampland, you know, with beavers, turkey, deer, ducks, and fish, it was plentiful with a diversity of wildlife. And it wasn't until the mid to late 1800s that settlers started to come here and to try and profit on the resources here. And there was that mindset that you know, resources were unlimited, so there wasn't much selective harvesting. It's basically they took everything. Well, with that mindset, it didn't take long. You know, from 1900 to like 1910, they harvested quite a few trees, and by 1915, basically all of it was cleared. All the trees were cleared and harvested on the refuge. Even though the trees were gone, the settlers still looked to the Mingo Basin as a source for economic value. And with the trees gone, the next thing they looked for was farming, for agriculture. You know, most of southeast Missouri today, if you drive towards the Mississippi River from here, most of it is agriculture. And most of that land was at one time similar to what you see here at Mingo. A lot of the trees were cleared, and then once they cleared, they started to put in drainage districts to try and drain the swampland, to drain that low area to make it suitable for agricultural purposes. And they attempted to do that here at Mingo. By the 1930s, the attempt to drain this was given up on. And for a short time period, this was kind of a free-for-all. So it would have looked a lot different from what you see today. It wasn't until 1944 that the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service came in and set aside roughly 22,000 acres in the Mingo Basin to become Mingo National Wildlife Refuge. The main mission, when it was established, and it continues to today, is to provide a sanctuary for migratory waterfowl and other migratory birds, and then to protect the bottomland hardwood forest habitat. Southeast Missouri was once roughly 2.5 million acres of bottomland hardwood forest. Well, now today, Mingo and Duck Creek, which is a neighboring state conservation area, consists of the largest remaining tract of bottomland hardwood forest in Missouri today. So it really is a remnant of what southeast Missouri used to look like. And not only is this place a place for wildlife, that's our primary mission, that's always what it's going to be, you know, wildlife, providing habitat for wildlife, for migratory waterfowl, that comes first. But it's also a place for people to enjoy. You know, not only people now, but for future generations to see what southeast Missouri used to look like, and then to see the wildlife that relies on this habitat.
The stage doesn't care. The studio doesn't care. The concert hall, the dance floor, the box office, They don't care.
If you can act, you can act.
If you can draw, you can draw.
The Holland School of Visual and Performing Arts does not care.
If you can play, you can play.
So you've been admitted to Southeast. This is your next step. You don't want to miss this. Sign up for First Step today.
The First Person View Club in St. Louis provides some exciting racing for drone quadcopters. The FPV Club promotes the safe and fun racing for drones.
Welcome to the world of quadcopters. Technology that may seem like science fiction is now very much reality, and a group of quadcopter pilots in St. Louis are putting their hardware to the test. This is FPV Racing.
FPV is first-person view. Okay. So literally it is what the helicopter is seeing through the camera is what you're seeing on the goggles in real time. It's essentially the easiest way to describe it would be sitting in the cockpit of an aircraft or an airplane, helicopter, whatever, and the same way that you would be looking at as if you were flying is the same way that it looks on the goggles or on the TV, depending on how you have it set up, that the helicopters are seeing it. These are a fully immersive set of goggles, and what these actually have is a small TV screen in the back side and then a specialized lens that kind of wraps it all the way around, so it's just like you and me looking at each other. It's got the receiver on the top, so it pulls the signal that the helicopter's putting out, and it transmits that over to video to where I can see what the helicopter sees. We essentially got started earlier this year. A good friend of mine, Joe, decided he didn't want to kind of be stuck sitting on the sidelines anymore. Wanted to get out and find more people that like to race, and started a Facebook page. We all started kind of communicating through that, started linking up. You know, went from like 3 or 5 guys, or started off as 3. It was Joe, myself, and Aaron, and then we ended up going from 3 to like 10, and from 10 we're at 150-160 people right now on our group, and it just grows every day. The more people that we expose it to try and actually explain the hobby and stuff, the more people get interested and they want to get out there and get their own and start flying and everything else.
I got my receiver smashed out underneath my flight controller, and then you have to add your camera and your antenna system. But you can buy kits and put them around.
Law enforcement has actually gotten to go ahead up north to start using them for like crowd control and stuff, only for non-lethal things, and they actually are starting to use drones up there. Otherwise, is these quadcopters, a lot of them are being used more for like hobby, for photographing, and even some for search and rescue. There's new technologies coming out that it's incorporating stuff for smaller packages, more cleaner, more efficient packages and stuff, better batteries, better transmitters, even the better goggles and stuff to make it to where the experience is more immersive and it's more realistic. And I don't see it slowing down anytime soon. A lot of them are built, I mean, you can buy the frames and stuff in the stores or order them off the internet and stuff, but a lot of them we hand do all of our modification stuff.
How much does it cost to typically repair those? How does that kind of go?
Crashes happen all the time. It's the nature of the sport, and this literally is a sport. Average cost for quadcopters anywhere from $150, and it can get up as high as $1,500 to $2,000. It just depends on what it is you want to do. A lot of them are either made out of carbon fiber, glass fiber. There's a couple that are even made with some Kevlar, the Kevlar carbon fiber mix, and then 3D printed stuff. It's not just, you know, getting out and having fun that we promote. It's, you know, getting people involved in it, making sure that they're doing it the right way safely, and the right way and wrong way to do things, what to do, what not to do. Yes, they are toys. They are, you know, a hobby-based item, but they are still dangerous to an extent. If you
hold on, do not go. Do not.
Attention. A good friend of mine wasn't paying attention first time FPVing, and he was by himself. And instead of flying with somebody else that could watch the quad until he was airborne, that he could watch it safely, he just kind of was doing his own thing and seeing the sunset. He's like, okay, that's kind of cool. Didn't realize the helicopter was coming straight to him. And it ended up chewing up his face. The best way to actually understand it and to get involved with it, or to, you know, even get into it, is to actually come to an event, sit down with a pilot after they're done racing. Don't try to bug them and interrupt them while they're flying, because that actually can be hazardous too. And then go from there.
Oh, was that a handshake? Hey, how you doing?
On one Saturday each month, Wurmberg Theaters in Cape Girardeau hosts Sensory Saturday for children with special needs. The auditorium has the lights up, the sound turned down, and the audience can move about in a safe and accepting environment.
In February of 2010, we actually started our first show of Sensory Saturday. We have them every third weekend of every month now. It's on Saturday at 10 a.m. You know, through those programs, we're able to leave the lights fully lit so it's not so dark that it scares the children. The house lights, you know, they're halfway down. The volume is left at a normal level. We turn it down. When the movie starts, we actually turn it off, and we get it to the right level to where the people in the auditorium can enjoy the movie without having it to be scary or overbearing because of any disability that they have.
Sensory Saturday was something that I had heard of in Columbia, Missouri that was going on, and I thought would be interesting for kids and families in this area. I talked to a lot of families, and we do community outings, and one of the concerns was that, you know, they'd like to take their kids to the movie, but they weren't able to, or they were nervous, they were scared, you know, what would happen. And so when I saw the Sensory Saturday, I thought that would be a great opportunity to have down here.
Leanne Hopper, autism professional, asked me to help her start a Sensory Saturday movie, talking to Kevin Dillon, the manager here at Westport Cine. And from there we started it up.
Mike already had a team of people, families that he had email addresses for, and they had talked about the movie, you know, whether they would want to show movies for the families. With this program, the family can come out, they can enjoy it, the kids, the adults can make noise, get up, walk around, move around as much as they want to.
Sensory Saturday has grown. The number of families that participate has only increased, and the theater has done a great job picking movies that really attract a high number of people. We not only have individuals with autism coming to these Sensory Saturday events, but we have families with all sorts of disabilities and kids that, again, would typically not have this experience if it weren't for Wurmberg Theaters and the folks who initiated that.
I had hesitated to take Emma to the movies, to regular shows, but because of her behavior, we were afraid we would have to leave or that she would disturb other people in the movie. So we love the freedom of Sensory Saturday, the tolerance if she does get up and dance or sing or those kind of things. That's welcome and that it's okay and we can stay and watch the movie.
The Missouri Senate actually gave us a proclamation because of the Sensory Saturday, which was a very nice gesture, just to recognize us for participating and providing some type of service here to where the families can actually bring their children or bring anybody with autism or other disabilities to the movies, which normally they may not have been able to do. But with this program, the Senate recognized us, gave us the proclamation, which was a very nice gesture from them, and we very appreciated it very much.
Whether it's for business or just a getaway, Cape Air is your wings in the Midwest. Cape Air serves 6 destinations, including Kirksville, Quincy, Fort Leonard Wood, Cape Girardeau, Marion, and Owensboro. Fly from Cape Girardeau to St. Louis with fares starting at just $49 each way. With easy connections through Lambert St. Louis International Airport, Cape Air connects you to the Midwest and the world. Book today at capeair.com or call 800-CAPE-AIR and enjoy the ride.
Starbucks, Chick-fil-A, Subway, and thousands of other options for breakfast, dinner, and in between. What are you waiting for? Schedule your visit today.
Each month, we'll travel the region to meet fascinating people, highlight important events, and find new places to discover. Join us again for River Tales. River Tales is produced by the students of the TV film program at Southeast Missouri State University.